Hello and welcome to this special playoff edition of WCS Game Day. I'm your co-host today, Jeremy Qualls. My co-host Tate Matthews not with me, but I have my man, Coach Will Hester of the Ravenwood Raptors with me today. We're going to talk a little bit about the playoffs. I'm going to talk after the break. We're going to be speaking with Chris Ladd, head coach of the Summit Spartans in basketball. But first, let's get to the quarterfinals, Coach. Centennial came in 10-2 on the year. They were the 6th seed. Me and Tate talked about plenty of times how they were probably the best 6th seed in the state. You guys coming in, of course, undefeated. What a game that was. 17-10 was the final. You guys probably not like you intended to go or drew it up as far as your points and your passing yards. But let's just talk about that game. Let's get our hats off to Coach Rector, his coaching staff, and the Centennial Cougars, how they represented the WCS Sports Conference. They did a fantastic job. We know how difficult it is to play somebody twice and not only win one, but to win both times. And I know in basketball, you're glad. If I was in basketball, you'd probably have to face those guys again, and you're probably happy at the fact that you don't have to play Centennial Cougars again to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Coach Rector and his staff do a wonderful job. Those kids played their hearts out. They had a good plan offensively and defensively, and that mixed with some mistakes that we made it a very close game. But going into the game, our goal was to score one more point than they did, and we surpassed that by 6 more. So we feel like that we did the job that we needed to do. It's all about surviving and advancing at this time of year. Now there's 4 teams left in 6A. We're proud to be one of those 4, and we'll be excited to jump on the bus Friday and head to Memphis.
You said it precisely. It's all about surviving and advancing, regardless of what the game looked like, what the final score and the outcome is. As long as you 1 point ahead, you survive and advance. So let's talk a little bit about the game. Centennial pretty much dominated the first half on ball possession or possession of time of possession. They led the score 3-0 at the end of the first. In about 90 seconds, you in classic Ravenwood fashion, boom, boom, you scored to go up 14-3 at half. But that was not the indication of how the first half went.
Yeah, no, we knew going in that they were going to be jacked up emotionally. The Coach Rector had spent all week harping about how they need to play and how they needed to get after us, and we knew that we needed to weather the storm the first part of the game, and it went exactly the way that we felt like it would. They put a good drive together on the opening drive of the game, and we hold them to a field goal in pure Ravenwood fashion. Our defense bowed their back in a tough spot there and held them to 3 points, and then it kind of went back and forth, a lot of punts both ways there for a while, and we were able to put one good drive together and score a touchdown. Andrew Rapay punched it in from the 3 or 4 yard line there, and then right after that, our defense did what they have done all year, and that's took the ball away from Centennial. Jeffrey Yoshihara calls the fumble, and Jordan Moore recovered it for us there about the 12, 13 yard line, and we were able to score a couple of plays later, throwing a pass to Nick Barton. That was kind of the thing that they had done to us in the first half. They wanted to take Percy and Jefferson away, but Nick Barton was kind of the guy left out, if you will, as far as their coverage scheme goes. So we were able to get Nick a few touches on that first scoring drive on some nice pass plays to keep the drive alive, and then we were able to use him there on that second touchdown drive to get the touchdown. So, it was good for Nick to be able to step up, and we're always talking about the next man in, next guy needs to make a play, and Nick was that guy for us on Friday, and Cole found him in the corner end zone to give us a 14-3 lead at the half.
Now, Centennial took the opening drive and pretty much went the length of the field. And I've heard you say that once. I've heard you say it 100 times that you got to survive those first 3 to 5 minutes to make sure everybody comes down and we start playing our typical game plan. Well, Centennial, took the ball, drove the length of the field, took a large chunk of time off the clock, and I thought their first possession was really good. The end result was a field goal. And that opening drive, I'm sure that you were sitting there thinking, well, that's probably not, the way we wanted to draw it up, because they looked like they got into the rhythm early. And then, like you said, the biggest changer there was the fumble on the second possession for them that kind of gave you the momentum back late into the second quarter. Let's talk about that opening drive. I thought Deion Sanders and their running game, Tyrell Dodson and all that much, they played really well for the Centennial Cougars.
Yeah, I mean, we expected that from those guys. We held them down pretty well in the first game as far as running the ball goes, but they were able to find some small things in the pass game. We missed some tackles on the perimeter. in one-on-one situations with their wide receivers, and they found a little deal down the middle of the field with the tight end. We were obviously aware of where Emmanuel was, so we were doubling him at times, which opened up some stuff down the middle of the field for the tight end. That they hit us on a couple of big plays throughout the night there too. So hats off to those guys. They did a wonderful job of game planning, putting their kids in position to make plays, and our defense stepped up when they had to hold them out.
Your defense did play well when it needed to. It stepped up like at the end of the game. You came out in the second half. The score once again was 14-3 at half, and then Centennial opened up with a drive there and scored 7-0. If I'm not mistaken, you had the ball first coming out of the half. You fumbled.
It turned it over in our own end. I believe we gave it to them about the 36-yard line. Had a chance to get off the field there with a field goal or no points, and they converted a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 right there to give themselves, get in position to score. Dion punches it in. So, you go from being up 2 scores and the ball to start the second half, and the turnover on what was a first down run for us, gave them the momentum back. If we go up 21-3 there, it may end up being a different game if we handle it. But, hats off to them for causing the turnover and cutting it back to a 1-score game.
I was thinking the same thing. I thought, if Ravenwood takes the ball right here and scores, this game could probably get ugly in a hurry. But the fumble happens, And speaking of the fumbles, you had 3 fumbles on the year coming into this game, and we had 2 turnovers that night. It's kind of a crazy situation. One thing that the stats do not show is that you also had 2 huge plays, both for touchdowns, called back on penalties.
Yeah, you see the penalty yards, and that's like if a holding penalty is 10 yards or whatever. But on the first drive of the game, the opening drive of the game for us, Cole Brown goes 70 yards for what would be a touchdown that ended up being called, blocking the back that was several yards behind the run, meaning it was non-consequential to the play. And then we had a kickoff return for a touchdown after Centennial scored to make it 14-10. The kickoff to us, and Van Jefferson takes it 95 yards down Centennial sideline there for the touchdown. And then, we are called for a block in the back there, which, on film you can clearly see, our guy may have been going to block him in the back, and the referee anticipated the call, but we whiffed. We didn't even make contact with the kid. Our kid put his head down and came up drawing air there on the play, yet they called the penalty anyway to negate a 95-yard touchdown there as well. So, we would have gained the momentum back right there and gone up 21-10, which, could have changed the course of the game as well. But, penalties are penalties. They're going to call them. Sometimes you got to overcome that adversity. I'm proud of our kids for battling through all that stuff.
Well, I find that interesting. I don't know if this is part of the game plan. Hindsight, we always look back. Van had a tough night on the receiving end, but just because of the fact it was double coverage and triple coverage throughout the entire night. Couldn't get a ball to him. He became a great leader as a cheerleader and helping, and that helps open up the other side of the field. But at the same time, here you are putting him in on the kickoff returns, which he had not done all year. First one, he goes about 10 yards, slips and falls. The second one is probably the prettiest return I have seen. He hit the gap, boom, he was gone, off to the races. 100-yard touchdown. Once again, what you talk about, called back. But it's probably the first game all year for sure that Van did not get a ball caught, but he served his purpose in other areas.
Yeah, he's a team guy. Their plan was to take away us throwing the ball over the top, which is a good plan, and they played us 6 in the box, and we got to be able to run the ball against 6 in the box. We had about 150, 160 yards rushing on the night, but that's with 2 fumbles and several penalties there. Taking away the 70-yarder that was a touchdown. So we ran the ball decently, not as well as we would have liked to versus the look that we were getting. But the hats off to Centennial's defensive front, the D-line, and those 2 inside linebackers did a good job of holding us down.
Well, bright spot for the night. Seth Rowland finishes with 105 yards, even though he had the 2 turnovers. I know that kind of kills him because he's such a competitor. Finishes with 105. You survive and advance. 17-10 against Centennial. What a game that was. What an atmosphere. Couldn't ask for a better playoff scenario. And you survive and advance to the 6A state semis. Only 4 left. You're one of those 4. You're sitting at 13-0. The number 1 seed versus the number 1 seed in the other quadrant, which is Whitehaven, who also is sitting at 13-0. Ravenwood, for the first time, cracks the top 100 in the nation at 95. You're number 2 in the state ranked right now. Whitehaven State is in 6A. Whitehaven right now is sitting at number 3 in the state. What kind of emphasis do you put on those rankings?
0. I had the first time I had looked at them is when they went across my Twitter feed this morning. So that means absolutely nothing to us. It's all about the matchups of this game. Whitehaven is a phenomenally athletic team. They've got some athletes like we haven't seen all year. Obviously, it'll be a big test for us. We're hoping that, the tenacity and passion with which we play with can overcome some things that we're going to face when we get down there. We're playing on field turf for the first time all year, so that'll be interesting as well. We're going to be able to practice on it this week. One of the local schools that has it is going to allow us to practice at their facility, so we're appreciative of that, so we get used to it a little bit. But it's going to be an exciting trip for our kids. It's a business trip for us. We're going to leave Friday morning around 9 or so and head down there. And, our kids are already excited, chomping at the bit. They were emailing me and texting me all weekend wanting to get film on Whitehaven so they could start, preparing and doing that kind of stuff.
Now, as a coach, that has to feel great when they're taking that ownership and leadership on their own, wanting to get tape to look at it already.
Absolutely, but that's kind of been the MO of our kids all year.
Yeah.
They're always chomping at the bit for the next one, and that that's a testament to why we're 13-0. And it's going to boil down to us playing great defense, us being able to find a way to run the ball against Whitehaven, and they're gonna do some different things in the secondary that are going to give us an opportunity to throw the ball some because they're going to challenge us. And, we feel like we got a couple of guys that we have good matchups with, so we'll be able to do a little better in the pass game this week.
All right, so you touched a little bit on the facilities. Let's talk about the facilities of Shelby County, Whitehaven. Do they have a home facility, or do they rotate like the other teams that don't necessarily have a home facility that they have to play?
Whitehaven has an on-campus facility. In 2010, Smyrna played there in the semifinals, and it was a grass field. It was in really bad shape. But since then, they made some improvements, and I have a nice turf field. I don't know anything about the locker room facility and that sort of stuff, but the surface itself will be the best we played on all year.
So let's talk about this week. This week falls on a strange week, especially from a coaching standpoint. We have Thanksgiving break. Kids are out of school. What are we going to do to try to keep everything as normal as possible throughout the week?
And we're going to do our normal routine. We're going to start it a little earlier than we normally do, just so we can guarantee daylight and that sort of stuff. So we're going to start bringing them in at noon each day, and we'll start today and go noon to 3 or whatever. And Tuesday we're bringing them in, and we'll get our lift in and our film session with the coaches, and then we'll go on to the local school we're going to practice, and then we'll do the same thing on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we're going to bring them in Thursday morning, have a little pancake breakfast. The parents are going to serve them. We got a great speaker coming to speak to us that day, and we'll do a nice little walk through and get ready to go. And then Friday morning, we'll load up and head over there.
So we have a couple minutes left. Let's talk about the most important. Let's talk about Whitehaven. What do we know at this point about Whitehaven?
Uber athletic. They're going to load the box to stop the run. They're going to challenge you on the perimeter. With man coverage and a little cover 3 on the edge there. They're going to try to put pressure on the quarterback. Offensively, it's old school football. It's pro and twins. You're going to see a little bit of one back, great running backs, a couple of receivers that can jump up and get it, and a quarterback that, if gets out of the pocket, is very dangerous. So it's going to be our job to keep him in the pocket. We'd rather him throw it than run it probably. So that's going to be the test for us. And then special teams, we got to dominate the special teams. We've been good at special teams all year. That's probably their weakest area. If they have a weakness, it's in special teams. So that's an area that we have to win in order to give ourselves a chance to make it to the finals.
I think that we have an edge on the physicality part. You look at most West Tennessee, especially Memphis teams, and you think automatically assume and think basketball. Of course, I'm a basketball coach, so you know that they're going to have athletic teams fielded, but the physicality sometimes is a question mark. So I think that hopefully our defense will bring that physicality that we've brought all year long. Now, it's going to be faster to catch these guys, but the physicality could make a difference, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. And, we got to do a good job of making our kids understand that this week and get them all gassed up to perform well at a high level and be able to block out the distractions. It's going to be their goal to intimidate us before the game starts. They're going to do a bunch of things that we haven't had to deal with or be a part of all year. And we're going to do some things to kind of try to counteract that kind of stuff. So we're excited about the chess match that will be Friday, and we look forward to getting started.
And we are excited as well. But before you go, Coach Hester, who's going to win the Eastern Quad, Maryville or Oakland?
That's tough. It's hard to bet against George Qualls. If you look, he's the winningest coach in the entire United States over the last 10 or 12 years. So it's hard to bet against him. But, Thomas McDaniel's my college roommate. We spent a lot of time together. So, I would love nothing better than to have an opportunity of of me versus him in the state championship game. That'd be pretty
That
sweet.
spins an interesting storyline right there. So let's hope that Oakland go ahead and goes in there and pulls off to most people it'd be an upset, but Oakland win that and you guys go in, and that makes an interesting conversation there for the storyline. Me and Tate will enjoy harping on that. But once again, this is Will Hester with us. I appreciate you coming in, Coach, and stopping by with us. I know that you have a full day already planned with your guys and the rest of the week, and we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
When we come back, we're going to meet with the Spartans coach, Summit's head boys basketball coach, Chris Ladd. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is WCS Game Day.
Williamson County was named after Dr. Hugh Williamson, a signer of the U.S. Constitution. The county was incorporated on October 26, 1799. The official seal was adopted in July 1968. The seal, designed by county historian Virginia Bowman and journalist James H. Armistead, was accepted by Judge Fulton Greer at the July 15, 1968 quarterly court term. It features 4 quadrants representing the diversity of the county. The upper left section depicts a flag and cannon which symbolizes the rich history in the county. The upper right quadrant shows a schoolhouse illustrating the importance of education. The lower left portrays a Bible in front of a church window, which represents religion. The lower right segment shows farm animals denoting agriculture.
Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of WCS Game Day. This is a special edition. As our first half we went with football. Second half I'm going with Old Sparty today. My good friend Chris Ladd, head coach of the boys basketball team down at Summit, the Spartans. Old Sparty will be joining us today. We're going to talk a little bit about basketball. Thank goodness. I've gone all year trying to fake it with the football. Now I can get into the basketball mode and we can talk some basketball. Before we begin, let's talk about what's happening around the WCS Sports Conference basketball-wise. On the girls' side, Page is sitting at 1-3 currently. Fairview sitting at 0-3. Brentwood, Lady Bruins starting off strong, starting at 5-0. Centennial Cougars are at 3-0 as well. Franklin sitting at 2-3. Indy at 1-3. Lady Spartans sitting at 1-3 at Summit, and Ravenwood at 2-2. On the boys' side, Page sitting at 3-2. The Fairview Yellow Jackets yet to get a win. They're at 0-3. The Brentwood Bruins, some to be the favorite in the 6A district, sitting at 5-1. Centennial at 1-2. Franklin at 2-2. Indy also at 500 at 2-2. Ravenwood also at 500 at 2-2. And Old Sparty themselves sitting at 4-0. That's why you're here today, Coach Ladd, because the Summit Spartans have started off hotter than a firecracker. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about yourself. For those that don't know Chris Ladd, Chris and I, we were talking off air. We have a little bit of history. He's beaten me numerous times when he was at Page and I was at Marshall County. Good friend of mine. I'm glad that you're here. Let's talk about your resume. Where have you been prior and up into this point?
Well, first of all, let's say we're glad to have you with us, Jeremy. Doing a great job as our county AD, and glad to have you here. My history goes back to Centennial High School, where I started as an assistant, and worked for Brian Kelly there for about 5 years. Got the job at Page. That's where we met up. I was there 8 years as a head coach, and when Summit opened up, couldn't resist the opportunity to go start a new program and go over to Summit High School. So we're in year 4 now.
Absolutely. You get to open a brand new facility, and there's so much to that, and start your program from the ground up. I know, like myself, when I left Marshall County, went to Lexington, like you going to Summit, glad to get away from Giles County and those type teams. I mean, we had some battles, but that sure was a tough district.
Yes.
And as you well know, now with CPA coming in there in Marshall County, that was, that's a tough district. But we're happy for the fact that Summit is starting off 4-0. Man, you have a great young team.
Very young.
You have beaten some teams here. Smyrna this last Friday night, what a great win that was. Went on the road, win 70-58. Tell us a little bit about that game.
Yeah, we actually got down 12-0 in that game and came back to win by 12. And really physical game. We had some Rutherford County officials that were officiating that game. We weren't really used to the style they were going to call.
Surely they weren't biased, right?
I wouldn't say biased, but they played a style we really weren't used to in the physicality, and that's probably not our forte, as we're young and sort of small. So we had to adjust to it and just kept playing our game and showed a lot of heart, came back and got the win.
Well, that's kind of been your MO up into this point, is this late start, having a spurt at the end. In this particular game, though, you spread the wealth well. You had 6 players in double digits.
Yeah. I think that's our strength right now as a team. We have several guys that can score and play different positions, and we really, we don't tell anybody not to take a shot. Nobody's in a set position. We were very versatile, and I think that's the first time I've ever had a team do that, to have 6 guys in double figures.
And I was thinking that myself of all the years that I coached. I'm not sure I ever had 6 players in double digits. 3, 4, sometimes that would be a great game. You're happy with that. But when you have 6, so all, you have your, I'm assuming your starting 5 having double digits, then having your next man off in the rotation coming in and having double digits.
True. We really don't, whoever we start, doesn't really matter because we're going to roll 7 guys in there pretty evenly. So everybody's getting a lot of minutes.
So let's talk about your team this year. I know you're young. Let's start with the seniors and work our way down. Tell us a little bit about your senior class.
Yeah, one senior, Preston Patterson. He's been with us since we opened 4 years ago. And Preston has really made strides to become a strong leader, both on and off the court this year. He's obviously playing well for us on the floor, but really impressed with his ability to kind of take on that verbal leadership role and be an encourager. And he's done some things this year that really helped us. Just verbally committed to Cincinnati Christian. So he's excited about that, and we're glad for him to get that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So real proud of him.
Now, what size is he?
He's about 6'4".
6'4", and I'm assuming that he probably runs your 4-5 slot, which is in the post for you guys?
He does. He actually runs a 3-4 and a 5. So he's real versatile in where he goes. He's really worked on his strength in his post-up game, but he likes to step outside too.
And I noticed that he got a dunk the other night, and there's nothing more exciting for your team, and I know that he's excited about that. So that just tells you right there that he has a little bit of size to him, but he also pretty athletic.
He's a good athlete. He actually, first 2 games he got a dunk, and then the other night almost had one on Smyrna. And usually coaches, you coach the game and you want those 2 points, but man, if you can go dunk one, it really charges your team up. And we've really encouraged him because he can dunk to really go strong and try to do that when he can. So.
Well, a lot of people, you're right. There's 2 thoughts of philosophy. I just want the 2 points. Let's not worry about what it looks like. But on the flip side, you know what that can possibly do to your team. You could be down at that point in time, things not going well. You get a dunk, and all of a sudden you're off to the races.
That's right.
Or on the flip side of that, you could be up and get one, and it absolutely breaks the back of the other team. So
it really does.
You know the importance of that. All right, let's talk about your juniors then.
Yeah, our junior class has been real solid for us. We've got Connor Barnett, who has played for 3 years now. He's seen varsity time as a freshman, one of our better shooters on the team, and a solid guard for us. Houston Lindley, another solid guard that comes off the bench for us, been real solid. Colin Hensel's a post guy. He's about 6'5" now. He's really stretched out this year and really started to become a post presence, and he likes to step outside some as well. And Bradley Weinstein, another junior coming off the bench. He's doing a little injury time for us right now, but he's another solid guy off the bench for us.
Well, your sophomore class is special. You got John Carter in there that's garnering some attention, and rightfully so. Tell us a little bit about that class.
Yeah, John Carter is a very special player. He's a very talented young man, shoots the 3 well, can put it on the floor, can post up. He really can do just about everything offensively, very long on defense. And one thing I love about John is just his mentality. Really, really smart basketball player, never gets rattled, never too up or too down on himself, and just really become a really solid basketball player. We're excited to see what's going to happen with him.
I know he's sitting right now. He's averaging a little over 20 points per game.
Yeah.
As a sophomore, that's invaluable. I mean, because you've got all the rest of this year and 2 more years to build upon that. So I know you're looking forward to that.
Yes.
And we'll talk later about your freshman class because I know you have some freshmen that probably play some minutes for you. But let's talk about. You spoke earlier about coming from behind. Smyrna, you got down early. Let's talk about the Columbia game last week. You were down by 1 point, 27 points, and came back to win in the last seconds, 80-78. Let's talk about that game.
Yeah, we were down 27 in the 3rd quarter. So, I don't really know what to tell you on how that happens, how you come back from that deficit, but I just know that the kids showed a lot of heart, and we just stayed the course with what we were trying to do. And I told them at halftime, if anybody can come back, you can. We were down about 17 at halftime. I knew we had the firepower, and we knew what we had to do. It's pretty obvious when you're down that much. You got to really press and go after it. And kids did it, and we started making some shots, and they started turning it over, and just kind of played into the whole momentum thing. And next thing you know, we got the ball ready to take the lead. You know,
that's not an easy team to do it against. So they're
No.
athletic, you know, and Columbia Central's always been a good basketball team. You go into halftime. You know, we've all been there. You're down 27. You're sitting there thinking, okay, how can I sell this to these kids? And you go in,
right.
you know, and you talk about the first 2 minutes of the second half are the most important. If they come out and hit a couple easy buckets, it's a blowout city. There's no recovery.
Right.
But you come out, you battle back, you press, you roll the dice a little bit,
Yeah.
get some things going. Next thing you know, it's just one of those tsunamis that nobody
Yeah.
can stop.
That's it. And you see it. It's happened to me on the other side of it lots of times, you know, and it's just really, I got to give credit to the kids on that. I mean, they just really kept fighting and kept showing heart, and it was an amazing thing to see.
Well, let's talk about Thanksgiving. You know, this week is Thanksgiving. It's a hard week for a basketball coach, hard week for sports, period. You've got all the kids are off. You want them to spend family time, but at the same time, this is so important to get plenty of gym time in because you don't want to lose what you've already gained up to this point, especially the momentum that you have going.
Right.
We have any tournaments? What are we doing over Thanksgiving break?
We're playing Stewart's Creek on Tuesday night, and then we're going to a tournament over Thanksgiving down at Forest. So we'll play. We've actually got 3 games, 2 in one day, down at Forest.
Well,
So
that's kind of a hurdle in itself when you
It
play
is.
2 games. Who do you play?
It
Do you
is.
know yet?
on the day we double up, we play Huntland, and then we play Fayetteville City, who's
Okay.
really strong from what I hear this year. And so you know, it's a time that we hope we can get a lot of our bench guys some time. Especially when you're doing 2 in one day, so those guys can get some good minutes.
And you know you want to go in, you want to keep the streak going, you want to win, but at the same time, over Thanksgiving break, it's more about let's just get better, let's keep our legs going and,
right.
and get in basketball shape. But you still want to win those games,
right.
I know. But if you don't, you know, it's no big deal. Let's keep rolling. So we talked about off there. The season's broken into 3 sections.
Mm-hmm.
You have before Christmas, after Christmas, and tournament. And you
That's
know
right.
you're all building towards tournament. And let's talk about our district real quick, our district rundown. What do you think right now? How do you see it playing out? Not including yourself, let's run down the district.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to put Brentwood number 1 just because they've dominated the district for so long and still got a lot of good players there. And Coach King's the maestro, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So we all respect him. Maybe Franklin second with the run they had last year. Really good team, well-coached team with Coach Wilson. After that, I really, you know, Ravenwood, I know lost a bunch from last year, but they're real solid. Centennial's got a new coach and a lot of good players, and Independence we know has a lot of good players over there, young guys. So, and Dixon County, you know, who knows what they're going to do. So
Yep.
it's really wide open. I think you can put Brentwood up there at the top somewhere, maybe Franklin, and then just where everybody else falls, you know.
Well, yeah,
So-
and that's encouraging to know because you'd like to go in and get a top 4 spot
Sure.
there going into district
Sure.
and whatnot. Last, before we go off the air, let's talk about Old Sparty culture. I love it down there. You're giving them something to go after all football season. They were there, they showed up, and they just didn't have much to cheer for this year. They're going. Let's talk about their culture real quick.
I tell you, our kids are fabulous. Our student section, the squad, as they call themselves, the Summit Squad.
Oh, yeah.
They're top notch, man. They really supported that football team, and all year long. And man, they've really packed the gym for us the first 2 games, and they're loud and proud, and that's the way we like them, man. We couldn't be more thrilled with them.
Well, I appreciate it. This is
Yeah.
Coach Chris Ladd, head coach of Old Sparty down at Summit men's basketball team, sitting right now at 4-0. Wish you the best of luck the remainder of the season. We'll see you again on another game day later. I'm your co-host Jeremy Qualls today. Thank you for joining us for WCS Game Day. We'll see you next time.
If we want to keep the blue in the sky, the green in the trees, we better care for the air we breathe. That it would truly be a breath of fresh air when we all can see forever through the air we breathe. So let's really try to be more aware of what we can do to clean up the air we all share. So let's you and me roll up our sleeves, let's do all we can and care for the air we breathe.